Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, Evan Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Up there we go. Here we are again for yet another episode of AfterBuzz, the Good Wife After Show. And as you can see, I'm solo tonight, but that's okay. I'm Tara Johnson, and you're going to actually be my co-host. So I'm going to throw out a ton of questions to you, and I'd love to get your responses back via YouTube, iTunes. While you're checking us out on YouTube or iTunes, make sure you go on both of those and subscribe so you can hear this after show and all the other fantastic after shows here. And we're working really hard, so give us 5 stars if you don't mind. I would truly appreciate that. You can find me on Twitter at TJ Wagging Her Tail, and as I'm wagging my tail, I would totally appreciate if you will reach out and give your comments, your questions. I spend the entire week responding to everything that everyone either tweets me or posts on YouTube. I love to talk to you, and as I'm sitting here by myself, I need some people to talk to. So this will be fantastic. This is The Good Wife, Season 6, Episode 21, and the title of the episode is Don't Fail. And those words came from one of my favorite characters on the show, as you guys know, Finn. Yay! I'll talk about him the entire time that we're talking. So the top of the episode starts with Alicia. She's walking around. She's completely distraught. She has nothing to do. She's practically watching the clock, waiting for 5 o'clock to hit so she can have a glass of red wine, just, I guess, so she won't be ashamed to drink at noon or something, I guess. I'm not really sure. So she's picking home projects to do, and she just can't find anything to do with herself. She's waiting for Grace to come home, but Grace has a life of her own. And Eli leaves her a stack of donors and said, you need to call all of these people and say thank you. So she starts going down the list. And in the back of her mind, while she's doing all this, she's supposedly working on a memoir, but this poor man is trying to talk to Alicia, and she can't get her thoughts together. I will say one of the first things that came to my mind when we started the episode was that when she was talking to the guy who's going to be, I guess, the ghostwriter for her memoirs, he was asking her about her friends, and she couldn't seem to come up with anyone. And I thought that was really strange. I mean, you think about someone like Alicia, she's a major partner in a law firm. She has this high-profile husband. She meets all of these people. She goes to all these different events and all these dignitaries, but I don't think she was able to come up with one name that was a friend. She sat there completely blank. And as we saw in the and in the previews for the next episode, that's going to come back. But I found that to be really strange. So to me, that kind of gives a picture of where Alicia is right now. She's alone. Everything's happened in the election. She had to step down from being SA, and I think she feels completely alone and maybe a tad lost. So as she's going through this list of names, she comes across her old client, Brent, who tells her, oh my gosh, I've been trying to track you down. I need you so much. They've arrested me for something, a case you got me off for 6 years ago. So let's talk about that. Her previous client, Brent, she actually represented him, and he was found guilty of attempted murder in 2009. Well, it seems as if the victim has died, and in the SA's office decide to charge him with murder. I guess the thing we have to realize is murder does not have any statute of limitations, so you can charge someone with murder at any time. And of course, they're right. If he was found not guilty of attempted murder, that has nothing to do with the murder charge. However, I will say, for me to even bring up this case is a total waste of taxpayers' money. Let's think about what's happening in Chicago right now. Your newly elected SA just had to step down. So we can only assume, I guess, that Frank Prady is either taking the SA seat or is about to take the SA seat, which means Castro is stepping down. So the SA's office in this kind of, I assume it's in this period of flux or something, I guess you're saying. So why would you bring up and dig up a case that you actually lost 6 years ago. I mean, the only thing I can think of is possibly since a new SA is coming in the office, maybe all the ASAs are trying to vie and get promotions and get on the good side of the new SA. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But to me, it just seems like a complete waste of taxpayers' money. And also, normally in the last couple episodes with The Good Wife, the cases that are brought up in each of the episodes seem to follow something that's going on in the headlines. But I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what case this follows. And of course, if I'm missing something, you guys let me know out there. But I couldn't find any recent case where someone was bringing back charges that, were gone before. And it probably happens every day. But if there's something in the headlines that I'm missing, let me know. What I found so interesting about this case was that, unlike the last 2 previous episodes, when Alicia needed some help in this episode, it wasn't Peter who she went to. It was the knight in shining armor, Finn, who, I love dearly. If she goes to Peter or Finn, I'm always happy. But she's talking to Finn, and I loved how Finn met her and said to her, basically, get over yourself. You ain't that important. You're having this struggle with your confidence. You got to get back on the horse and get back out there. You'll be great. The guy needs you, and he needs your help. And I think that put the idea back in Alicia's mind about changing her direction of where she's going to go with this possible new law firm that she's talking about. I mean, we talked about last week, and I think Bobby had the prediction that Alicia was going to start a new law firm and maybe do something more public interest like. And I was like, that. I think that sounds exactly like what she will be doing. And having this case come back to her is absolutely perfect to where she is right now, because she needs something and someone to believe in. And as she said to Carrie when they were doing flashbacks, she used to believe in the law as something good, and now I think she's just completely lost and needs something. So this case falling into her lap was perfect. The thing that I pulled away from this case was, of course, Alicia's great in the courtroom, but I found that this case, especially with her in the present day, as well as her flashbacks, gave a really great idea as to where Alicia is and her feeling about personally herself, but also Carrie, Diane. We talk about what's happened so much in the last 6 years. Remember in the episode when Alicia reached out to Carrie to initially say, I'm going to work on this case that you and I worked on before. And he said, yeah, that guy Brett was calling several times, but we don't take cases like that anymore. And Alicia rolled her eyes. I think she must have rolled her eyes in this episode about 10 to 12 times. But to me, it kind of showed her separation from the law firm that she helped create, as well as her feeling about some of these people. Carrie saying, we don't do this any longer. And then when she said, just send the files over to my apartment, he was like, your apartment? I'm thinking to myself, excuse me, Carrie Agos, I remember when you guys started a law firm, and she invited the entire firm over to her apartment. So going back to humble beginnings, ain't nothing wrong with that, Carrie. Thank you very much. I applaud Alicia for doing whatever she has to do, whether it be in her apartment, whether it be in a rented space. You got to do what you got to do. But it showed me that, I don't know. I think things may not be as cool and kosher between Alicia and Carrie and Diane as we may think. Again, when Alicia was reviewing the tapes and she heard Diane's voice and she remembered when Diane assigned her and Carrie to this case, I'm thinking she heard her voice and then she made this face, and I was like, Alicia still resents those guys for kicking her out of her own firm. And I think it's completely understandable. But that's where we are right now. And I think that gives a little bit of an idea as to what's going to happen with these guys going forward. We talked about it before last week. If Alicia's no longer part of this law firm, we're going to see them going toe to toe and neck in every case going forward. And I cannot wait until we see Alicia and Diane go up against each other, because when Alicia started at the law firm, when the show first started, Diane was somewhat of a mentor to her, and then they became partners, and Diane's client was the one who got Alicia booted from the firm. So it's going to be very interesting when these two ladies stand up and go toe-to-toe in the law firm. It's going to be neck and neck. We'll have to see what happens. Everyone is reeling from the fact that Kalinda is no longer around. Even though she left in the last episode, her presence was always there. And even though she wasn't there, she helped Alicia get through this episode. Let's think about it. I mean, when Carrie needed someone to go speak to the victim in this case, he didn't go himself. Alicia didn't go. They sent Kalinda. And when Alicia was listening to the tape and just heard Kalinda's voice, a smile came to her face. Question I have for everyone. There was one scene in the show where Alicia and Kalinda were together. Now, we know they haven't shared a scene together in 2 or 3 seasons now. I know 2+ years. In my opinion, that scene was a previous scene that was shot years ago. You guys let me know what you think. The other scene that when they were going back and forth between Kalinda and Alicia, and they were talking about whether Alicia was asking Kalinda, well, what do you think of telling the truth? Can you lie in court? And Kalinda was saying, you do anything you can within the confines of the law to defend your client. In my opinion, that was a new scene, but because of the way it was cut, they were not sitting together. It was Alicia in one room, or Alicia taped all of her parts at one time and Kalinda taped all of her parts at another time. So I know everyone out there has been hoping and praying for their time when they're going to be in a scene together, but I don't think we got it in this episode. And you guys out there, let me know if you agree or disagree, but I don't think we got the scene together. And I have to say, for me, if we don't get that scene before the season's over, I'm absolutely fine. I mean, if these ladies are going to say separated, I think that holds true to Kalinda's character. And to put her and Alicia in a scene just to maybe appease all of us, I think actually takes away from her character, and maybe even takes away from Alicia's character also. I mean, I know the Kings out there, want to make all the viewers happy, but I'm okay with the fact that they aren't in the same scene. I mean, that's just how it goes down, that's how it goes down. I don't want any artificial scenes that's happening. I love the way that Kalinda left last week. And I like to stay with that same type of genuine feeling of, this is Kalinda's character. She's not the person who says goodbye. If she and Alicia never share a scene together, so be it. I'm totally, absolutely fine with it. Another thing that this case and this episode really made me think about was how far everyone has come in 6 years and how much they've changed. I mean, look at Alicia. Bobby and I have talked about it and actually debated it for several weeks now while she was running for state's attorney. And Bobby said that, Alicia's too idealistic to hold the office of state's attorney. And if you think she's idealistic now, think about what those flashbacks showed of her. I mean, she came in to this murder case. She came into practicing law, and she really wanted to do it in the purest form possible. I mean, think about the one instance when she and Carrie were interviewing Dakota, and Dakota was about to say something that could have possibly altered their client's alibi, and Carrie stopped the recording and said, I just want you to think about the consequences of what you're doing and how this may hurt our client. And Alicia was like, I can't believe you said that. I mean, we can't encourage her to lie. And he's like, we're not encouraging her to lie. This is how you successfully practice law. Fast forward 6 years, she was actually reciting those same exact words to Dakota again when she was speaking to her about coming back to court and possibly having to be a witness again. And I think she actually, you saw her face and she recognized it herself and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've changed so much in my practice of law. Let's think about Carrie. I don't think Carrie has changed in his practice of law, but this poor guy is reeling as he walks around the offices of the law firm. I mean, he sees someone who looks like Kalinda from the back, and he loses it. I feel as if Carrie is really lost, and I feel as if his character was so much stronger when the show started. And I talked about it last week. He's just kind of floating around with nothing going on, and I think it shows it even still in this episode where he was helping Alicia, but he just really didn't seem like he had a lot going on himself. And he was, he almost cried when he was talking to Alicia and said, Kalinda's gone. Did you see her before she left? And Alicia's like, I'm really sorry. And he's like, me too. He really is hurt by the fact that Kalinda's gone. And I think he's somewhat lost. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to his character. And someone on YouTube actually agreed with me last week and said, yeah, I agree with you. Something's going on with Carrie's character, and we're not really sure what direction it's going to go. And it's going to be interesting to see if something happens next week or what happens to him in the seasons coming up. But Going back to when he and Alicia were working together when the show first started, they were in high competition with each other. He was a sharp guy. He was on top of everything. And now he's almost like, I don't know, he's kind of like a sub character. I mean, he's not even a main character any longer. I mean, we're not seeing him a lot in the last 5 or 6 episodes. So I'm a little worried as to see what's happening to Carrie. He's become much softer and his heart's become a lot bigger in the last 6 years. Then we also have to talk about, think about Kalinda. She seems to be the one character over the past 6 years that has remained the same, but her position has changed. I will say when the show first came on, and you guys let me know if you agree with me, Kalinda was so much more of a mentor to Alicia. We can see it in those flashback episodes when the two of them were hanging out in the bar and she would take her out for drinks. And even when Alicia would call her on the phone and say, we just discovered that he couldn't watch television in the suite because there's no television here. Kalinda was the one who said, good, now make sure that you confirm Dakota also says there's no television in the suite. So Kalinda was Alicia's mentor, and she really helped her in her first days at the law firm. It's really surprising to see how much that's changed over the past 6 years. Alicia, of course, has changed in her, practice of law. She's able to stand on her own 2 feet, but I like that relationship that the two of them had before, and it's something that I missed as the series went on. And you guys let me know how you feel too. But Kalinda seems to be the one character who has stayed consistent over the past 6 years. I mean, she was a beast starting, and she was a beast when she left last week, and she'll always remain to be a beast even in flashbacks. I mean, that's Kalinda. So Alicia, after this case, she's actually going to take a new direction, and she goes to who I consider to be always her gauge and her temperature, her actually, I want to call it Grace, her daughter, actually her conscience almost. And before she decides that she wants to open this law firm, she goes and she talks to her daughter, Grace, and she asks Grace her opinion. But what I also have to say is, it seems really strange. It seems as if, I know Grace is junior, senior in high school, but she doesn't seem to know a lot that's going on in her mom's life, and her mom doesn't seem to know a lot that's going on in her life. They seem to lead these completely separate lives. I found it was really weird that Grace said, are you taking a new case? And Alicia was like, yeah. She also asked her mom, I thought you started a law firm already. I mean, think about it. Alicia just stepped down from the state's attorney's position after this huge election. I found it strange last week that it was just Peter who was standing by Alicia's side and not the kids also. So, I mean, they live in the same household, but they don't seem to share much of the same lives. And I find their interactions sometimes very strange. And I've said it before, I always feel as if Grace is almost the adult compared to Alicia. I mean, I think that's the honest truth. And so she had to go speak to her conscience and ask about starting a new law firm. And as we predicted right here, I don't know if the Kings are watching the show and taking our predictions and then writing episodes. If they are, that's absolutely fine. I'm not even going to ask for credit or anything. But as we said before, Alicia's going to start a new law firm. And now she's going to take cases that she only cares about. I have a question to everyone out there. Alicia has changed so much in her practice, the way she practices law. She's gone from this really idealistic, pure type of criminal defense to something, I don't want to call it sleazy, but I'm going to simply say that it skirts on what's allowed in law. I mean, think about what she was teaching Amber and saying, no, it's okay that we didn't know that the testimony was false. When we tried to get it into the record, the court record, we knew it would be true. If that's changed, we don't have to tell the court. And Amber was confused, that doesn't sound right. And Alicia was like, yeah, it doesn't sound right, but it's legal. So now Alicia skirts on the boundaries of what's allowed in the law. My question to you is, even if she takes cases that she believes in, are her principles, the way that she practices law, the way that she handles cases, the way that she defends her clients, do we think that's going to change? If she has to be in a law firm by herself without the resources of Diane and Carrie and all the other people that they have at all the other big law firms, what will she do to defend her clients? We understand now that based on her conversation with Kalinda, her modus operandi is to do anything within the law to defend your client. I'm curious to see what will happen with Alicia as she defends these clients. I think one, as we talked about last week, without all these resources in the big law firm, things are going to be different. the type of clients she's going to take, the type of cases she's going to take, the type of people she's going to defend, and how she's affecting real lives. I mean, think about the guy she had today. She got him off 6 years ago. He was supposed to serve 12 years. If he had gotten convicted of murder, it was going to be a minimum of 20 years. She was already fighting with a bout of low confidence. If she would have lost this case and this guy would have gone to jail for 20 years, I'm not sure what would have happened to her. She's setting herself up to encounter that every single day. And what I will say, I think this practice that she's walking herself into of just taking cases she believes in, I think that's going to push her over the edge, because she's going to encounter people and things and real lives and situations that she's not used to from being the governor's wife or being in the SA's office or being a partner in a major law firm. She's about to get down, dirty, and gritty in the city of Chicago, and I'm not quite sure if Alicia is ready for that. Let me know what you think about that, because I think we're about to see a different Alicia, I think, and I'm not quite sure if she's going to be able to handle real world defense work. But we all knew it was going to happen. We knew she was going to ask Finn to be a partner with her. Do we think he's going to say yes? Do we think he's going to say no? Me, and I know this is getting a little into predictions, I don't think he's going to say yes, because I think for him, in order to sign on to be Alicia's partner means that he can't be her partner in the bedroom. I said it. That's what I think. I think Finn has a thing for her, and he doesn't want to dare mess that up, or the possibility of it. He spoke about dating someone episodes ago. We haven't seen that person. We haven't heard anything about that person ever again. It's Finn and Alicia, and I think he thinks if I join and become your partner like a professional partner, I can't be with you as a relationship personal partner. I don't think he's going to take the position. I do think, as I said last week, she's going to ask Carrie, and I do think Carrie's going to take the position. I think this season has changed him tremendously, and I don't think he can actually sustain himself at this big law firm without Alicia. The two of them started that law firm together, and now he's there with Diane and David Lee. What the heck? This is completely different than what he and Alicia started with. I don't think it's for him, and I think he's going to come and he's going to join Alicia. The last thing I want to mention really quickly is this episode actually brought back Zach. We haven't heard Alicia speak about her son, Zach, in I don't know how many episodes. But the one good thing I think I can say that's come from Alicia's fall from grace is the name Saint Alicia seems to be wearing thin. And I think Alicia is actually becoming much more understanding to real people and their circumstances. We know for a fact that when Zach revealed everything about his ex-girlfriend and the abortion, she took it really difficultly. We talked about it here, and Bobby viewed it as something different than I viewed it as. But what we all noticed was that there was a change in how she treated Zach. But this episode, she's calling him again and talking to him again, because I think she's realizing just because my child may have done something I don't agree with doesn't mean I don't love my kid. I mean, I think there's, what a person does is very separate of how you feel about them. And so I'm happy to see that she's reaching out to Zach again. I think she's understanding that bad things happen to good people. Zach is a good person. She's a good person. She had nothing to do with any kind of tampering of the election. But regardless of the fact, she had to step down from being SA. I think, this essay, this whole scandal is really pulling out of her and making her be much more human. So we're taking the Saint Alicia and we're bringing it down a couple of notches. I think that's what's happening. She's taken the poor boy's bedroom and changed it into his office, and now he finally wants to come home. So I'm curious to see what happens with that interaction when he comes home. But I hope that this makes her see him in a different light, and they can work on that relationship too. I think we've talked about everything at least pretty quickly. And again, if I missed something, as always, please hit me up on YouTube or tweet me and let me know what I missed, and we can definitely talk about all week long. Let's do a little combination of news and predictions.
AfterBuzz TV News. And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Thank you, Stephen. That's what I'm talking about, combining the two. So tons of people out there, and I thank everyone, sent me the articles over the week And the big news that's coming up on the season finale next week is Kalinda's going to return. We don't know how long. We don't know why. We don't know in what condition. Will she be alive? Will she be dead? We don't know. Will she and Alicia finally share a scene together? It's been predicted and forecast, but we don't know. What I will say about Kalinda's return is I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed because I kind of like the fact that Kalinda was ghost and left without any of those kind of scenes and that kind of back and forth goodbye with every single character that you normally get from a lot of different shows. I like the fact that she just left. That goes with her character to me. So now for her to come back, I don't want them to taint that. I want that departure to seem as strong and in line with her character as it was before. What I will also say, though, is I wouldn't be surprised if Kalinda's return isn't in a body bag or something, because I just don't think Kalinda's character coming back and like tapping everyone on the shoulder and they having this big love fest in the law firm conference room and she hugging everyone and crying, that just doesn't seem like Kalinda, and it doesn't seem like the good wife. So I'm waiting for the twist for when Kalinda returns. And I will say, as my prediction, I don't think she and Alicia are going to share that scene together because I just don't think it fits into where these two characters are in the road and the journey that both their characters have taken over the past 6 seasons. To put them in a room together would just seem too artificial. And my vote on that is no. You guys let me know what you think. I've given a couple of predictions while I was talking. I do think that Carrie's going to join Alicia. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Carrie comes and knocks on Alicia's door and say, "Can I join you?" I don't think Finn is going to join her. And I'm curious, but I feel somewhere that before the season is over, Alicia and Diane have to have a really deep conversation about the state of things where they are right now. Again, it was Diane's client who insisted that if Alicia comes back to this law firm, he was leaving. So really, when it comes down to it, Diane's client was the one who really put the nail in Alicia's coffin and X'd her out of her own law firm. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the season finale, but I do think the two of them have to cross some type of paths, and they have to hash it out or duke it out. I'm not quite sure, but something needs to happen between the two of those to wrap up season 6. So I think that's about it for me. Again, my name is Tara Johnson. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TJ Wagging Her Tail. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on YouTube. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. Next week is season 6, season finale. I can't wait. I hope you join us back here. Until next week, bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.